There's a creator on this app. He goes by the name of H Maath. H Maath. Yeah, you heard that right. H Maath. H Maath is what I would call king of the incels. He makes nothing but content consumed heavily by by incels and by extremely misogynistic men. And he named himself H Maath, because he just thinks all women are hoes, which is a sign that he's an incel. Because incels think that all women are hoes and sluts and skanks and stupid and whatever, right? He thinks all women are the same. That's a tale of an incel or of an extremely misogynistic man, whatever. He cannot be he could be he makes incel content. He cannot be an incel, right? Because most of these dudes are grifters. Like Andrew Tate's a grifter, Kevin Samuels was a grifter. Most of these dudes who make this content are actually grifters. Some of them are actually the men that they are talking to. They identify as those men. They show up as those men in the world, but some of them don't. Some of them are just grifting. H Maath could be a grifter. He never shows his face. You don't know anything about him. He remains anonymous, and that's fine. That's his prerogative, right? I personally think that he's a coward for doing that, because if you if you are saying things that you know to be true, and you can, which to me, which means you can be accepted into polite society, then why not show your face? I remember having this discussion with my friend a while ago, and he was saying like I was telling him like he can never, or no, he was saying himself, he was like, I can never say the things that I'm saying to you, I can never say them in public. And I laughed because I was like, and I can say everything I'm saying in public. And he rebutted. He said that he was like, no, he basically was saying like, I could be fired, I could be this, I could be that for saying, saying the same things that I said in public. And I said, maybe so. Maybe corporate may feel some type of way about what I'm saying. I was like, but I know that I can say the things that I'm saying in public because I know that the things that I'm saying are actually true. Right. And that doesn't mean that everything I'm saying is right, like correct, I would say, because some of it is subjective, but it is objectively true, the vast majority of it. Right. When I talk about the societal issues that affect and afflict society, and I talk about where they come from, where they stem from, what is the source of them, who perpetuates the vast majority of these problems, I'm correct. Like I stand 10 toes in that. That's why you see my face. That's why my platform is the way that it is, because I know that everything I'm saying is true. Like I said, it doesn't have to be 100% correct. Two different things, right? I'm saying that overall, I know that the patriarchy is a problem. I know that misogyny is a problem. I know that feminism is a cure. I know that anti-misogynistic movements are the cure. So on and so forth. Like I know that men are the largest demographic of people who perpetuate harm against other marginalized groups of people. I could keep on going down the list. Studies back this. I'm not saying nothing that I'm saying is like rooted in gender essentialism. I don't think that it's biological. I don't, you know what I mean? None of that stuff. I know it's all socialized for the most part. And I know that we can do better as men. I know we can do better, right? So I don't have any problem with anything that I'm saying. Like I could say this to whoever, whenever, wherever. But people and men like H Maath, they hide their faces because they know that what they're saying is controversial, and they know that beyond controversial, they know that what they're saying is deplorable and disgusting. And he's smart enough to know to hide his face. He's intentional enough to know to hide his face, which tells me that he understands what he's saying is wrong, and more than likely he is a grifter, right? That's what I believe. But I said all of that just so we can get to this clip. Now, in this clip, Mr. H Maath is going to take a literal incel talking point. And the incel talking point is the 80-20 rule. If any of you guys have ever heard the 80-20 rule, I want you to know that it 100% comes from the most extreme, most violent group of men in the manosphere, a part of the patriarchy, incels, right? The 80-20 rule essentially says that only 20% of men are attracted to every woman, because again, they think every woman is exactly the same. They think women are robots. They think women are shells. They don't think women can think for themselves. They don't think of women as human beings, right? So they think that every woman is attracted to 20% of men, right? Now, I disagree. I think that in reality, the vast majority of women, I don't know what percentage, but the vast majority of women, not all, are attracted to something more like 3% of men. Because out of the 20%, 95% of them are masking. They're not really the men that women are attracted to, but they mask as if they are those men, right? So I think it's really like women are really only attracted to about 3% of men in general, right? But in reality, women ultimately are attracted to probably closer to 90% of men, because there is I don't mean this in a literal sense, but there's a person for everybody, right? So not every woman thinks that Lenny Kravitz is the most attractive man. Not every woman finds Ryan Gosling attractive, right? I know plenty of women who will say a man is attractive to, like about men. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't think that, what I mean? Like, I didn't think women liked him. Like, women have a very comprehensive approach to picking a mate, right? They're not like men. Men, he can say this about and it'd be closer to the truth. It still wouldn't be the truth. Men are more one-track minded. Men, one thing is above all things, and that is physical attractiveness. So all of this is what incels do, and what most men do in these cases is they take the things that men do, they flip it around and project it onto women. This is just another example of that. That's all this is another example of men saying a thing that men do, right? And then projecting it on to women. Now, men aren't only attracted to 20% of women. Don't get me wrong. Men are attracted to tons of women, because most women are attractive to most men, believe it or not. And men are desperate, and there's other things that go along with this. But nonetheless, nonetheless, men are very shallow in our approach, and women are not.
Please make it make sense. Why do guys that I'm interested in end up not wanting to pursue me?
Because they are the same guys that everyone is interested in.
And real quick, that this is the insidiousness about this dude's content, right? Because it's genius, don't get me wrong. But just like I said, this is the 80-20 rule. This is all this is. Remember that. Just keep that in your mind. It's the 80-20 rule that is invented by incels, right? By the most dangerous men in the manosphere. But he never, I don't know I haven't finished his video yet, so he might actually mention it. But initially, he doesn't mention it. It's very subtle. He doesn't say exactly what it is. He act like you would think he came up with this, the way he's presenting it, right? But he didn't. He just stole this and ripped this off from incels. That's it.
Please make it make sense. Why do guys that I'm interested in end up not wanting to pursue me?
Because they are the same guys that everyone is interested in.
He literally circled the 8. You see how he started at the 8, which would be 20% of men, maybe 8, 9, 10, right? That's 20% of men. That's 20% of men that he just circled. Isn't that interesting?
And then guys that I'm not interested in pursue me and pursue me hard and do not give up.
Because those are the guys that nobody is interested in.
Please make it make sense.
Okay. Human beings are born with a sense of fairness. We like to think that the universe is fair and everything evens out, but
based on what? Who told you that? Where are we getting this from? Human beings are born with a sense of fairness. Human beings are born cynical too. What are you talking about? I've been called a cynic in my life at least 1,000 times. The fuck are you talking about?
it's not and it doesn't. We think that things work a certain way, but it's actually just a feeling that we need to have. Otherwise, life would be a nightmare.
He's talking about himself. What he's describing right now is how he thinks the world works. He's lying, but how he's saying how he thinks the world works, but it doesn't actually work this way. So this is about him. This is funny.
Otherwise, life would be a nightmare. We like to believe that there is someone out there for everyone, but in reality, it's only a few guys that are attractive to all the girls. The rest of these guys are practically invisible until they do something extra and then you notice them. In other words, they have to make up for their lack of attractiveness by being extra nice. That means that all women dream of being with just a few exciting men. So,
as if beauty isn't in the eye of the beholder, as if beauty standards don't change. Like, what are you talking about? That's so dumb. Just on its face. So he's only talking about physical attractiveness because he says that, oh, if he mentions how men have to be nice or whatever, as if like that's like so basically he's saying attractive men, if you listen, by his math, right? Let's break down his stupid ass math. If a man is physically attractive, he also can't be a quote unquote nice guy. Only Ugmos work on their character because they have to. That's what he's saying.
There's not enough to go around. So if we match extra nice, that means that all women dream of being with just a few exciting men, so there's not enough to go around. So if we match 1-to-1, that means that most women will never get what they're looking for. This used to work better because women kind of had to get married when they had less power, so most people would match 1-to-1. But
at least he recognizes that. This is what I'm saying. If you listen to him, that's not a typical take. See what I'm saying? It's almost like he knows what's going on, right? That was interesting, correct? Right? Incels wouldn't admit that flat out, but he's using incel rhetoric. And then also he's accurately, in that particular instance, he accurately depicts what marriage was and has been for women, since its inception for the most part, up until the last 50 years, 40 years, right? So one would have to wonder, well, if you know that, if you know women didn't have power recently, then why are you acting like women, women are just crazy and, what the fuck are you talking about?
What they're looking for. This used to work better because women kind of had to get married when they had less power, so most people would match 1-to-1. But now that you have your own money, we don't match 1-to-1 anymore. We threw all those rules out the window, and now everything is a mess because women are no longer marrying who they must, and instead they are pursuing who they want, and it's all the same few guys. Let's say this is you. This is the guy that you're looking for, and he isn't interested in committing because he's got all the attention he can handle, and so does he. And here is the guy who's looking for you, and you're not interested in him, and neither is anyone else, except maybe her, but then he doesn't want to commit to her either. To make matters worse, dating apps give...
Now, see, I have my own version of what's really going on to counter H Maath's version. Now, my drawings aren't as good, but this is the way that I think it really looks. I think it's more like men are attracted to any woman, right? I think men are attracted to like every woman they see, and they just want to like sleep with like every woman that they see. And then women are like, you see the little squiggly lines, they're like swiftly walking away and not looking at the men, and they want to avoid men in general, right? Not every man, but just men in general. And men in general are trying to sleep with every woman that they meet, right? If you see here, see all the men they're all looking at this one woman, right? That's more what I think it looks like. That's more what I see. And they're chasing after any woman, not a 20% woman or a 10 or a 5 or a dime, or I don't give a fuck. I don't rate people in that way at all. But that's what I think it actually looks like, not what this dude's talking about. So that's what it looks like to me.
To make matters worse, dating apps give people the illusion of more options than they really have. So when you say,
Please make it make sense.
that is your brain trying to believe that people naturally pair off with someone at their own level. But that's not how nature works. Nature makes all the women want these few men, and then these men want these women who are not interested because they want Prince Charming, although Prince Charming is busy. And then these girls way down here are pursuing these guys who don't want to be seen with them. People love to forget that we are nature, we are animals, and we have a lower biological nature. And nature doesn't say, I should pick someone appropriate for me. Nature says I should get the best I possibly can, which creates a market. This website on walrus reproduction says that one male is shared by 23 females.
We are not walruses. We are not walruses. We have already solved for this in human nature. We've already overcome this, right? We pick partners as human beings. I'm saying we fall in love with people for a myriad of reasons. It's not hypergamy. It's not that. And the majority of people marry people within their same socioeconomic class and status. If we're talking about physical looks, that is so subjective. There's not even a place to begin there. I don't even know. I do think the vast majority of women are more attractive than men. I think the vast majority of women are more attractive than men. And I know that, of course, you're saying that you're a man, but even women, I think that way about women. So I think as a society, we think women are the most attractive out of the two groups. So saying that men often marry or date women who are more attractive than them seems pretty obvious. So I'm not understanding this whole like hypergamy from women to men. Like, I don't think women are hypergamous. If women were actually hypergamous, I don't think when I say any, I mean, I think less than 20% of men would be married. If women were actually hypergamous, they would be looking for men that were better than them in more ways than just looks and money. Because again, when women search for mates, they don't just look at looks and money. They look at how you're going to treat them. Because if we're talking about nature, here's the thing that I love, how men love to talk about nature, right? But they leave stuff like this out. Men are unsafe for women to be around, and women know that. Biologically, they know that. We're bigger than them in most cases, and women know that men are violent and are capable of large quantities of violence, right? So women have to take that into account when picking a partner. So picking a man that makes a woman feel safe is very important for them. That's the thing. And that's why a lot of men mask to make themselves appear to be safe to women. That is one of the things that men do the most. All that lying about money and looking good, all those things, that's secondary to the number one thing that men actually lie about to women the most. And that is that man is a safe person for that woman to be around, which would prove that it's way deeper than fucking beauty or attractiveness physically.
At certain points in our history, 17 women reproduced for every one man, and throughout all of history, only 40% of men reproduce compared to almost 90% of women. So this is not new. It's just what male mammals do when nothing stops them. And if you want to go back to everyone matching one by one, then you have to go back to the rules that made it happen. But you said you didn't like those. So the reason that people no longer pair up one by one is that sexual freedom makes society collapse. This guy wrote a book.
All of that to get to, yeah, women need to go back to being our slaves and being under our thumbs. And the worst and the collapse of society is rooted in the idea. It's not capitalism. It's not capitalism. It's not racism. It is sexual liberation. It is women being able to choose who they sleep with. Interesting.
About it. And just look at him. He tried to warn you. Here, I know none of you are going to read this. The whole of human history does not contain a single instance of a group becoming civilized unless it has been absolutely monogamous, nor is there any example of a group retaining its culture after it has adopted less rigorous customs. So the reason the guys you like don't like you and the other way around is because that's what people do when you let them.
I am curious in terms of...
Sorry. That was an odd way. That was an odd way to end that. That was so weird. But yes, as you can see, like I said, that is all the talking points, purity culture at the end, 80-20 rule, all women are the same, incel. And the men eat it up. And that was very nefarious. It was very coded, right? If you didn't know what he was really getting at, then you wouldn't know. But he's smart. I mean, I said he's a genius even, but he's smart. And you don't really have to be that intelligent to grift when in this space. Like, isn't it like to grift like right wing or misogynistic men or red pill men or whatever you want to say, right? Like to grift those men, you don't really have to be that smart, but it is smart that he doesn't just flat out say the 80-20 rule. He never mentions it, but it's right in front of your face. He points at the men, 8 to 10 men, you know what I'm saying? Like he does everything. He lays it all out, but he doesn't come right out and say it. I think that's very smart. Him not showing his face also is smart for him. But ultimately he's wrong about everything that he's saying. And another example of how red pill ideology is corrupting men and keeping you single and keeping you unhappy and unhealthy and unstable. There you go.